What is up, everyone? Welcome to a free hit draft. My name is Ryan, and welcome to the football chat box. Now, I'm gonna show you a game week 38 free hit draft, and this one doesn't have the budget, but I think what I'm going to show you most importantly will be players to target on a free hit, because there's going to be various combinations on a free hit. If you get leaks as well, your free hit will change if you get certain players that you think are going to start but aren't going to start. So you need to have various options available. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, to try and give you options that you could have a look at, and then it's up to you to try and build based on those options, because you just need 11, maybe 12 players. That's basically it. The rest can be fodder, so the budget shouldn't be an issue. Now, let's start with the goalkeepers. I think Rhea is definitely one of the most comfortable picks in the game against Southampton. Obviously, they are away from home. If you wanted a home goalkeeper, Nick Pope against Everton also shouldn't be too bad for Newcastle. The other options you could have a look at would potentially be maybe Bournemouth. It could be Kepa against Leicester. Or even, who else could we try and get? Even Martinez against Man United might not be too bad. Obviously, United do struggle for goals, and Aston Villa have been on a pretty decent record in terms of keeping clean sheets. 3 clean sheets in the last 3. So Rea, Martinez, like I said, Kepa is also not too bad. And the other one, I guess I would have mentioned was, who did I mention again? Newcastle. Nick Pope from Newcastle as well is not a bad option against Everton for a clean sheet. That's goalkeepers. Let's move on to defenders. Now, the defenders I've got here are attacking defenders to an extent, except for Konsa, who is from a set piece threat if you wanted to. Again, Konsa, similar to Martinez, should be decent option for a clean sheet this week against United. I've gone for Ben White from the Arsenal defensive point of view. He should play with Timber out as well at this moment. The other option, if you think Ben White is a bit too expensive, there are 2 other options you can go for Arsenal defense. QVO will be the one who is the more owned defender from like the managers who still have Arsenal defense. Another differential could be potentially Calafiori. With Saliba out, he might be the one who ends up replacing Saliba's position. So Calafiori could also be a nice alternative if you can't really afford a Ben White. So those are a couple options from Arsenal defense. From City defense, we've gone for Guardiola because he's been playing left back at a few times. He goes to centre back, he becomes a bonus point monster. He's a pretty good option to have against Fulham. City, obviously, they conceded in the last minute. Shouldn't have actually considered that goal that they did, but it is what it is. But their defense has been overall pretty good in the last couple of games. So I've gone for Josko Guardiola. We've gone for a Bournemouth defender as well. Similar to Kepa, Bournemouth defense against Leicester should be good. Kirkes is the most attacking out of that lot. And he should be a pretty good option as well. If you wanted a cheaper version, Dean Huijsen for potentially what is his last Bournemouth game at home against Leicester might not be a bad shout as well, in terms of potentially set pieces if you wanted. So Huijsen is another cheaper alternative in there. Newcastle defense, like I mentioned, Pope. Livramento is another shout, attacking fullback. Against Everton should be a pretty good shout. If you didn't want Livramento, a certain Dan Burn is also not too bad from a set piece threat. Fabian Shah is more of a outside the goal threat, where he just takes shots, sometimes could take free kicks. He's also not too bad. Trippier obviously is injured, so that's not an option. So yeah, Dan Burn or Livramento is probably where I would most likely look at. If you really want to go Fabian Shah, you could do that as well. In terms of other defenders, I think a few mentions should be mentioned on like Wan-Bissaka, who's had a pretty good last couple game weeks, to be honest. He's obviously got a 12 point and a 7 point against Spurs and United. The only thing with West Ham in general, I always think West Ham, in terms of chances for clean sheets, not the best. Their goalkeeper, obviously, you saw last week how he just gifted one of the goals. That's the only thing that slightly puts me off Wan-Bissaka. And I would prefer these defenders that I mentioned to you over Wan-Bissaka as well. There is a possibility, if you do get news that Trent is starting, he could potentially be an option. Might not play the full 90, might come off at like 60 something. Trent could be an option, but Connor Bradley obviously is another one as well. If you think Liverpool are going to keep a clean sheet, this guy is pretty attacking as well. Not too bad an option for a differential. Any other defenders? I probably don't. Nah, not really. Not really. Munoz against Liverpool, but they're not going to keep a clean sheet. Very unlikely to. So probably wouldn't end up there. All right, let's move into midfielders. Now, midfielders, obviously Bowen, Mbeumo, Salah, Saka, and Gordon. These five are pretty good, I would say. Gordon obviously being the differential. The other four are most likely going to be templates on a free hit if you're going to wanted template picks. I think instead of Gordon, people would even have KDB potentially if he was starting. Other options could potentially be, unfortunately, I would have said Clivert, but his minutes are not that great recently. Semenyo could be one against Leicester. Another differential if you're looking for a Bournemouth differential, Semenyo. I do like Trossard as well from Arsenal attack if you didn't want to go and get Saka. And also for those who are not playing a free hit and you're looking for Arsenal options, Trossard is not too bad. Another Arsenal player I would say would be Declan Rice as well. On set pieces, if Saka goes off, he'll take mostly almost all the set pieces. He's also on corners as well. Pretty good scoring record recently as well. So Declan Rice is definitely another option to consider. City midfield, I probably wouldn't look at anyone. Bournemouth obviously have Semenyo, like we mentioned. West Ham, it's only Bowen. West Ham, you could potentially try Thomas Suchek, but I just think Bowen is just a better option, just more consistent. So prefer Bowen instead. Liverpool might have a couple options in terms of their attack if there's going to be goals there. Luis Diaz, if he starts, could be one. This is where you might want to wait and see for leaks potentially, because Luis Diaz is one. The other one could also potentially be someone like a Jota as well. If we get news he's starting, could be a differential as well. And apart from that, you really wanted Szoboszlai is not too bad of a differential, but minutes wise, maybe if Luis Diaz starts, he might get more minutes, is what I'm thinking. So those are some of the options. Harvey Elliott is generally a good player, but minutes is something that I might slightly be worried about from Liverpool attack perspective. I did mention Gordon for Newcastle, but if you didn't want to go Gordon, the other option from Newcastle would be Harvey Barnes as well, who is not too bad. But I do want to try punting on Gordon this time instead of Harvey Barnes for the final game. Again, also Gordon playing his former team against Everton would be one option there. I should add, obviously people aren't looking at Spurs assets now that they won the Europa League. Very unlikely, but I still don't mind Brennan Johnson. If anyone is like a Spurs fan, wants to add a Spurs player, I think Brennan Johnson is someone I would prefer slightly. I won't be surprised if he does start as well. And Brighton have shown that they've conceded quite a few goals. I don't mind that. On the other hand, Brighton players are also potentially candidates here. Now, if Mitoma started the game, then obviously I would have preferred Mitoma, but he didn't. So then you probably are looking at the forward line maybe, to be honest. So we'll get to the forwards again. Minte could be an option. It's just that with Brighton options, the goals are going to be spread out. So you kind of have to figure out who exactly is going to get those goals. That's the slight tough part. And I think I should also mention, obviously, Aston Villa, I didn't mention here. Morgan Rogers, if you really wanted to. But here I am with Morgan Rogers in the team looking at benching him. So up to you if you really wanted to go there. Who would play? I think Asensio will play the number 10. You need to find an Aston Villa player who would play on the wings, because United are generally pretty weak when if you go on the wings and then cross it inwards. United are pretty bad in trying to defend those areas. So any winger who is playing for Aston Villa should have a decent return potentially against Man United. And apart from that, that's basically it. Oh, Schade from Brentford is not too bad, but I prefer Brian Mbeumo at this moment. But thought I'd give him a mention because his form has been pretty good recently. And that's kind of it from the midfielders and then up to the forwards. Now, Isak, the status right now is he hasn't trained yet with Newcastle, but he has made progress from his injury. So they're kind of going to wait and see how he does in the next couple of days. Very unlikely that we get a leak. So because of that, on a free hit, it might be a bit hard to go, which is why I suggest a few other Newcastle assets in terms of attacking options just to cover it. But if you really wanted to risk it, you could potentially, if he starts, it'd be a pretty good option. Watkins, I think, is still pretty good against United. Don't know what United will turn up, so I think Watkins is a good option. Wissa as well against Wolves, not too bad, similar to Mbeumo and Shard as well. Danny Welbeck, like I mentioned, against Spurs. The only thing is, might not get you like a significantly high score, so not someone you'll be looking at. But Evan Nilsson obviously will be the favorite for a forward pick. If anyone is looking for forward picks against Leicester, so he's up there. Differentials. I mean, only Solanke had better form, maybe. Differentials wise, I'm just trying to think of a couple of differentials. I guess Gakpo could be a differential if he starts against Crystal Palace. He could be a very nice differential. You just need to know whether he starts or not. So this is where leaks again might come into play. Cunha, obviously, unfortunately, we don't know if he's going to start or not. So that's a bit of a worry. I would not go there. And you're unlikely to get Wolves leaks as well. I think that's kind of it in terms of forwards. Not many other options. I mean, Haaland, if you really wanted to, I'd rather maybe Marmoush head of Haaland potentially. So that's someone I would potentially go if you wanted City forward. That's basically it. And actually, no one else that I am potentially looking at. Oh, I should mention Eze in midfield if really anyone wanted to, but you don't know how much rotation there's going to be. Obviously, they have been celebrating their FA Cup win recently, so they are probably not going to be fully focused on this Liverpool game. So that's why I probably might not go down a free hit. I would target some other players. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about the players that were mentioned. If you've reached up to this point, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. And we'll be live for the deadline stream on the Sunday this weekend for the final Game Week 38 deadline stream. And then after that, we'll be doing a watch along when the games are going on as well. So stay tuned, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you all later.